Now let's head over to Bloomberg Radio Surveillance, where Karl Case, founding partner of the Case-Shiller House Price Indices, is talking with Tom Keene and Ken Prewitt.
Tom Keene with Karl Case of the Case-Shiller Index. Professor Case, what are you going to be looking for in the coming 90 days? If you're looking at noise and if you're looking for a housing slowdown, what are you and Bob Shiller going to be most focused on?
Well, you've got to look at, first of all, what happened. Interest rates has traditionally driven the housing market and the construction sector as a whole. And behind interest rates is the constraint of the demographics. And the demographics generally we have been thinking that we could produce 1.5 million housing units a year. Traditionally, when production runs ahead of household formations, you get downward pressure in prices. And when starts lag household formations, you get upward pressure. So I've been looking for the housing market to begin recovering. We haven't been producing anything. We've been at 50-year lows now for 18, 19 months. We're not producing anything, but households seem to be disappearing. And I think what that's doing is it's keeping the vacancy numbers high. If you go to the census and you look at the rental and home ownership vacancy rates, they're almost at record high levels, and they're not coming down. And until we clear some of that broadly defined inventory, it's not just the inventory of people having houses on markets. It's going and counting the units that are actually vacant. And until we get into that, the housing market, when it's looked like this in the past, starts come back, the economy begins to pick up, the housing market does it's one of the things that leads us out. But it's dead in the water now. It's like this little engine that trying to get up the hill, and it's been just stuck in the mud.
Let's let Ken get in. Let's let Ken get in here. It sounds like this time is different.
Well,
Ken.
On the other hand, this is economics, so there's always another hand. We also have a story today. The number of occupied apartments in the U.S. went up by 215,000, most since MPF Research has been keeping track since 1992, as the vacancy rate went down. And one of the points here is that employment is improving for people in their 20s. That's taken as a sign that they're moving out of mom and dad's basement and moving into their own apartments.
Those are exactly the numbers you ought to be watching. And I was quoting the first quarter numbers coming from the census. The first quarter indicated that the vacancies were coming down. They're still at very high levels compared to where we've been in history. But if that continues to happen and households start showing up and people stop moving out of their parents' houses, that's going to be a key factor in all of this.
How critical is immigration to all this? We've had immigration, and then it's eased off a little bit. Yeah. How critical is immigration to making the American housing economy go?
Well, it's been really critical. It's been important, particularly at the low end. Bob and I did a paper comparing L.A. to Boston about 15, 20 years ago, and it played all the difference in the way those two cities had performed over time. So you've got to keep your eye on that. And in the boom, there was a tremendous amount of foreign demand in addition to people moving here. People came here to buy property. And so it's all of those things that led us on the way up are gone, but the fundamentals are there for recovery if we can just get out of this funk.
We're going to continue with Karl Case here on Bloomberg Radio. Carol, what's exciting is Karl's coming to us from Transylvania. I know you had your youngest daughter's birthday party at Dracula's castle a few years ago, but Karl coming to us within the shadow of Dracula's castle in Romania. So Carol on Bloomberg TV, thanks so much for stopping by. And, Ken, talking here with Professor Case, I think my number one question, Professor, simple.
All right. Obviously, Tom Keene and Ken Prewitt talking with Mr. Case.